Child, come sit with me. I have a tale to tell you. It is the tale of our beginnings. If you would be one of us, you had best know who we are and how we came to be. Men may whisper of the faceless men of Bravos, but we are older than the secret city. Before the Titan rose, before the unmasking of Othuro, before the founding, we were. We have flowered in Bravos amongst these northern fogs, but we first took root in Valyria, among the wretched slaves who toiled in the deep mines beneath the 14 flames that lit the freehold's nights of old. Most mines are dank and chilly places, cut from cold dead stone, but the 14 flames were living mountains with veins of molten rocks and hearts of fire. So the mines of old Valyria were always hot, and they grew hotter as the shafts were driven deeper, ever deeper. The slaves toiled in an oven. The rocks around them were too hot to touch. The air stank of brimstone and would sear their lungs as they breathed it. The soles of their feet would burn and blister even through the thickest sandals. Sometimes, when they broke through a wall in search of gold, they would find steam instead, or boiling water, or molten rock. Certain shafts were cut so low that the slaves could not stand upright, but had to crawl or bend. And there were worms in the red darkness too. Not earthworms, fireworms. Some say they are akin to dragons, for worms breathe fire too. Instead of soaring through the sky, they bore through stone and soil. If the old tales can be believed, there were worms amongst the 14 flames even before the dragons came. The young ones are no larger than the skinny arm of yours, but they can grow to monstrous size and have no love for men. Burnt and blackened corpses were oft found in the shafts where the rocks were cracked or full of holes. Yet still the mines drove deeper. Slaves perished by the score, but their masters did not care. Red gold and yellow gold and silver were reckoned to be more precious than the lives of slaves, for slaves were cheap in the old freehold. During war, the Valyrians took them by the thousands. In times of peace, they bred them, though only the worst were sent to die in the red darkness. Some rose and fought. Revolts were common in the mines, but few accomplished much. The dragon lords of old freehold were strong in sorcery, and lesser men defied them at their peril. The first faceless man was one who did. He was no one. Some say he was a slave himself. Others insist he was a freeholder's son, born of noble stock. Some will even tell you he was an overseer who took pity on his charges. The truth is, no one knows. Whoever he was, he moved amongst the slaves and would hear them at their prayers. Men of 100 different nations labored in the mines, and each prayed to his own God in his own tongue. Yet all were praying for the same thing. It was release they asked for, an end to pain, a small thing and simple. Yet their gods made no answer, and their suffering went on. Are their gods all deaf? He wondered, until a realization came upon him one night in the red darkness. All gods have their instruments, men and women who serve them and help to work their will on earth. The slaves were not crying out to 100 different gods, as it seemed, but to one God with 100 different faces. And he was that God's instrument. That very night he chose the most wretched of the slaves, the one who had prayed most earnestly for release, and he freed him from his bondage. the first gift had been given. He would later bring the gift to the masters as well, but that is a tale for another day, one best shared with no one. And who are you, child?